Okay, what I'm going to do, this is from lesson 10.6 all the way back last Thursday, but I'm going to go ahead and create a video today, post for the lesson on Tuesday that reviews one of the most commonly missed problems on 10.6, and that was number 2, part B. As I do this, I wanted to talk about what this really is saying here. Excuse me for doing that. What this is really saying is how many 500ths are there in 2? So we have represented here, we have two groups of 100. Each one of these is one whole, and they're broken up into 100 chunks, or hundredths. Each one of these squares is hundredths. So how are we going to determine how many 500ths are there in here? We have to kind of look at this and kind of mark it off. We can do it this way visually, where we mark off groups of 5 and see how many groups of 5 there are in each one of these. And that's going to get us the right answer. I could change my color every time, and so that it's easy to distinguish where my groups of 5 are, and I can count them out that way. Let's also look at this in a different way, okay? We have, because we're dividing this into hundredths, I can think of a coin that when we label it, we can see that it's 5 cents. And a whole dollar is broken up into 100 pieces. There's 100 cents. Well, there's 5 cents in every nickel. So what we could be asking here is just to focus in on one of these. How many nickels are there in $1? Okay, well, if I can count by fives, that's going to get me to where I need to go. Or if I can remember this, 5 goes into 100. I might remember that it goes into 120 times. Well, that's great. I know how many nickels there are, or 500ths now there are in 1, but how many nickels or 500ths are there in the number 2? So I'm going to take that times 2 to get my answer. So my answer for this problem is 40. As a way of giving another opportunity to look at this in a different way, let's take a look at this in terms of a fraction. So what we're going to do is we're going to divide 2. I'm going to call this 2 over 1. We're going to divide the number 500ths into that. You can hopefully see how I got 500ths out of this number. Well, remember what we're going to do. We're going to change, and we're going to flip. Put our 5 down here now. 2 times 100, because we're going to go across our numerators first. Could go do denominators, but I'm going to do first this one, 200. And I've got all my denominators, 5. Well, I don't want to know 200 fifths. What I'm going to know, what I'm going to want to find out is how many times 5 goes into 200. So 5 goes into 200. It doesn't go into 2 at all, but in 20 it goes 4 times. It goes in evenly. So I'm left with putting that last 0 right up above, and so I know that there are 40 groups, or if we're going to do it this way, how many 500ths are there in 2? We could say that there are 40. Now, real quickly, I think where we can, if we can turn these into somewhat of money problems, that might help us out. Look at this one. If I put a 0 here, this looks like it could become a dime. So how many dimes are there in $3? Or maybe how many dimes are there in one of these? How many groups of 10? We can't really turn this into money. I mean, that strategy may help us, but look at this one. This one has what looks like it could be cents. How many cents are there in $4? Well, I already know that there are 100 cents in $1, so if I take 100 times 4, I can get 400. So if you can find a strategy that can help you make some of these a little bit simpler, go for it. Now, maybe you guys are aware of this, but there is a such thing as a 50-cent piece. Not very common, but there is a 50 cent. So how many 50-cent pieces would there be in $4? Oh, how many dimes are there in $6? How many quarters are there in $3? Well, looking really quickly at those three that I just mentioned, how many quarters are there? There's 4 quarters at $1. 4 times 3 gives us 12. So if you said correct there, you are right. How many dimes are there in $6? Well, I know that there are 10 dimes in $1. That means that if I take 10 times 6, I get 60. That one's incorrect. There are two 50-cent pieces and $1. So 2 times 4 gives us 8. That one is correct. And this one, because it doesn't fit that same idea that I've been using, I'm not going to worry about that one. Just wanted to kind of quickly go through a different strategy. If it's available, you think of them in terms of money.